So the reason why I'm on this channel to begin with is because of big tech censorship. So we're in a major, pretty major culture war right now, and in this country, and kind of like around the globe, really too. Um, what does the culture war entail? Well, it's basically between those that believe in constitutional freedoms that our founding fathers created our nation, and those that don't believe in America or the Constitution of the United States of America, don't believe in the law of the land, don't believe in the founding fathers, don't believe any of those principles, do not care about those principles. Most of those people are very wealthy, left-leaning people like Mark Zuckerberg, the CEOs of Twitter, Google. Most of these are what Indian guys. They don't know what the Constitution is all about. They don't care about it. They don't like freedom of speech. They come from countries that really don't promote that sort of thing. So, of course, not all the big tech companies are run by foreigners, but if you do come from a foreign country, if you have a Chinese big tech platform, what you're not going to care about American types and styles of freedoms. You're going to suppress it. So the CEO of Twitter right now is quoted as saying he doesn't care about the First Amendment and freedom of speech and freedom of thought. And it is evident that some in big tech and big government and big business don't care about it either. They just care about revenue and control, mind control, thought control, action control, fear control, uh, just control in general. Control of the story, control of the ideas, control of the money, control of the power, control of the authority. See what I'm getting at? But some people like Elon Musk said, no Twitter, no Mark Zuckerberg. You're not going to buy elections. You're not going to pump $400 million into the Biden campaign when he's not really that popular anyway. Um, so, yeah, there is a war going on. It's not like a physical necessarily. It's not like the guy who what he what he blow up like AT&T or a Google head, place because he believed in the lizard people or something. I don't know. It happened a few years back. It's not that sort of war, like in a physical sense, really. It's a mental war. It's a war of ideas. It's an information war, like Alex Jones. So, who controls the information? What narrative are they allowed to say? Who controls the narrative that people are allowed to think and believe? Very powerful stuff. Who has the right to say what? Who has the right to think what? Who controls what people think and say? What are they allowed to say? What are they not allowed to say? What are they allowed to think and what things are they not allowed to think? So that's the big battle. So our first champion in the fight for freedom was Donald John Trump, an anti-establishment guy who shook the foundations of the federal government and the establishment and the corrupt swamp of Washington, D.C. to its very core. And our second champion is not an American at all, wasn't born and raised here. It's the South African Elon Musk, one of the most intrepid, wealthiest, and most ballsy and daring uh, capitalist, venture capitalist that's probably ever been born or existed. One of the most intelligent men, maybe, that's ever lived, um, perhaps. That's debatable, of course. Joe Rogan was quoted as saying, if there was going to be an alien that was from another world that came to save this world, it was probably Elon Musk. Um, does seem to be a quite productive gentleman. Does seem to be quite an intelligent. He's one of the richest, wealthiest men in the entire globe, besides Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and guys like that. Big tech tycoon pioneers of the internet and software, internet technology, uh, computer science. So Twitter was like the online internet global public square. GPS, it's a town square basically. You can talk and you can express yourself up to a point. You can't say stuff about the SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19 coronavirus from Wuhan, China, Communist Chinese Party virus, the Jinping planetary plague. You can't say much about that. You'll get banned, kind of like YouTube. You can't talk about the 2020 election. You can't say certain things about it. You can say that it occurred, but you'll be banned if you say anything how you really feel about that election. Your, like instincts about that election, that it was, what, and I think a lot of people feel that. Yeah, of course, you don't have direct evidence, and that's what people say. They'll say, well, you don't have direct evidence. Where's your proof? Well, the proof is in the pudding, baby, as the old saying goes. If you have a hunch something is up, usually that's your instinct is correct, and the lies that people tell you are not. So, of course, there are certain topics that the left and the Democrats fear people talking about. I guess another one would be January 6th, um, which was staged, by the way. It was definitely a setup by all accounts. So there are certain topics that people cannot talk about because they might speak the truth, and the truth is dangerous to the king. Okay, the truth isn't dangerous to the slaves, but the truth is real dangerous to the kings, the people who run it. If you have a system that has been systematically throwing you overboard and under the bus for decades, then people might rebel and revolt and pick leaders who actually represent them and their interests, which is, of course, dangerous to the establishment. That's not what they want. Um, George Carlin so eloquently put before he died in a stand-up routine. We know what they want. More for them and less for you. Most intelligent people out there are happy about Elon Musk buying Twitter. I am very excited. So when I see the news that he's got the $56 billion ready to go to buy out all the shareholders, I'm like, yes! What would Twitter look like in a post-Musk world? A free tech platform, finally, without a lot of censorship. Why did I start this second channel? Because my last channel was censored. It was kind of a silly censorship. It was a retroactive censorship. It wasn't like censorship like quick. No. It was like a video that was, it was about 2 or 3, I want to say, my video that was censored that got me my strike on my other channel, YouTube channel, was all I was doing, I was eating Popeyes, and I was just recounting a story in Houston, Texas about, I probably said the N-word a little bit too much. I don't believe I should say an N-word. I should just say the word, because I could say the F word, but it's a lot easier to say fuck. You know what I mean? Because fuck clarifies what I'm saying. Or I say, oh no, he said the S word like I'm in 3rd grade. Or I could just say shit. And then you go, oh shit. Oh, okay, I get it. I go lay down in there. So I do not believe in saying like, it's kind of fun sometimes. You're like, oh, he's an a-hole, or she's a B word, or something, and you're just kind of producing it. I think it's better to just like say the word that you intend to say, and so it clarifies and it stops a lot of the beating around the bush. It just gets to the point of your story. So if I'm telling a story, I want to be like, well, there was a B word who talked to the a-hole, and then the a-hole called the B word an N-word, and then I'd rather it just be like the story, like actually what happened. So I'm just eating Popeyes. I'm watching Popeyes commercials in the video, kind of having a fun time. It's not like a food report of the week. It's not like Review Bra. It was just like, it's Popeyes 2-piece chicken meal, and I'm playing old commercials like from the 70s. Love that chicken from Popeyes. And then I was like, well, this is pretty tame. How did I get a community guideline strike on this? It's just me singing at Popeyes, eating some chicken, and laughing about Popeyes and Cajun Popeye fried chicken and red beans and rice, and it's just silly. It's just a silly fucking ass video until I said the N-word. Then I was like, oh, this is where it's gonna go. I see. The story was in Houston, there was a lady, an older white lady, that went to like kind of the ghetto Popeyes. It's like in, I don't know, Aldine or I-45 North Houston, like an area, by Guns Point, or they used to call it Greens Point back in the day. But anyways, not like the best area of town to go get your Popeyes chicken, okay? And anyways, some stupid old white lady went into an African American, mostly Popeyes, and the guy got her order wrong, and she said N-word, and then he came outside and he body slammed her. So I was just recounting this very unpleasant story, and so I tried to appeal the strike because I was like, I'm just telling a story. It's a true story. I'm not making it up. But they thought it was a hateful piece. So I was like, okay, whatever. You think? So do I think it was a bot? I mean, they could have an N-word bot. Yeah. They could have like a bot that's like, okay, I want you to go through all these videos and see if the N-bomb is dropped. And we want to see if there's any racial or ethnic slur bombs. So, you know, they like put a database together. Or it's some, you know, fat ass, stupid, liberal, far left motherfucker sitting on his computer all day, and that's his job at Google, is an Alphabet Corporation, is just fucking look for someone who is telling a story with the N word in it. And then he's like, oh, community guidelines strikes. What was the interesting thing about the community guidelines strikes? It says that if you say anything about protected classes, that could be a violation. Now, this kind of verbal, the protected classes, it's like, who are the protected classes? I thought everybody was the protected classes. Not according to Alphabet, Google, YouTube, I guess. Ooh, there are protected classes? I didn't know. Who's protected classes? Is it poor people? Isn't that who it should be, the protected classes? The downtrodden, the meek, the poor, the less powerful? Shouldn't that be the protected classes? We know in our society those are not protected classes. But, you're talking about black people are the protected classes. Minorities are the protected classes. What that indicates by the word protected classes is it means anybody who's in a minority is a protected class. Or those that have a special group or a special identity that have a special status. So African Americans, you can't talk about them because they're a protected special class, which does not extend to white people, apparently, according to this corporation, by the platform standards, by the standards of this company. So this all-powerful, super powerful tech monopoly giant worldwide. So I thought that language was interesting. So that means that like Asperger's people, retarded people, black people, Mexicans, other like LGBTQ people, that means they're protected classes. But white heterosexual males, not protected. I gotcha. I'm starting to get through all this George Orwell, this double newspeak language that they're coming up with. I'm starting to see what it really means. I see. I'm starting to decipher the language of the safety society. The safety society that's not safe at all, not even close. But as long as they have the illusion that they're safe and they have safe spaces and safe language, they feel better. And that's really all that I wanted for the human race and I want for the human species and myself is that everybody feel good all the time. And they feel safe and they feel not threatened and they feel like everything's honky fucking dory and they never have a fight. They never curse each other out. They never have an argument. Everything's just peachy keen, and they are just on soma and on drugs, and they just don't question what anybody's doing in their society or world, and they get herded to their little Shanghai, China prison cells, and they don't say a damn thing about it. And the drones, get back in your house. The COVID is coming. We don't give a shit about your freedom. Get your ass back inside, sheep. Yeah, we see where this is going, people. Straight to Xi Jinping, Shanghai, China. That's what we're going straight. We're going straight into, oh, you didn't wear a mask. And then a whole team of guys come and what? They send in the secret police Gestapo and they step on your head. Yeah, they take you away to the disappearance internment camps. We know where this is going, people. If we allow it to happen, it's going that direction. Well, so just to keep my channels and stuff, I'll just be more careful. Won't say the N word. Won't say racially charged stories or hot topic stories, controversial stories, um, even really current event stories. Not that much. I mean, I'm sure some shit will happen in the next few days that'll be like a horrific current event, and I'll want to talk about it, but maybe I can't because it's too like racial or it's too controversial or there's too many bad words or whatever the case may be. Or it's not the narrative that the mainstream corporate media wants to present to the citizens. So, yeah. Freedom doesn't pay that much, does it? Not right now, anyway. Uh, really, as a tradition in any human species society, obedience has always paid more. So it might be more sheepish, it might be more cowardice, but it will always pay more than the truth and freedom. Usually, not necessarily absolute statement, but uh, at least that applies to these times. So I hope Elon Musk buys Twitter, reinstates Donald John Trump to the platform, buys out all the shareholders, and makes the global public internet square a place of free expression, not a place for hate or some kind of radical group or extremist group, but a place where people can speak their minds and speak, their truth as they see fit. And that would be a great step in the direction of constitutional technology that can fully uh, embody the founding fathers and the law of the land and the Constitution of the United States of America, in uh, particularly the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the right to petition the government, the right of assembly, and of course, freedom. Uh, the right to a free press. That's a five. I love it. There you go. So, yeah, good, good. Hello? Hey! Huh? Oh, just about to cook. Oh, wow. Yeah, we haven't cooked yet. It's going to be 6 or 7 before we grill. Oh, okay. We're still power washing. We just power wash all the top and the ceiling, the walls, the siding, the railings, all the progress, sprayed the furniture upstairs off. Now we're almost finished with the downstairs. All right. I'm helping you. All right. Oh, yes. So the fight for independent creative thought is on, and the weakening of those that attempt to control thought and the story has already begun. So Disney versus DeSantis. I used to love Disney. You know, growing up, I think most every person who was a child at one time. You went to Disneyland. We went to Disney World because would you rather go to Jurassic Park or would you rather go to Jurassic World? I think just that name alone is. Oh, you need a banu? Okay. Well, let's have a banu. I don't think it's time to do yet, so. Um, so I think my parents were like, "Well, we're gonna blow $6,000 to $10,000 going to Disneyland, or we're gonna go to Disney World." And I think they made the better choice because Florida is a badass place. Beautiful place. Some old fart. I used to work at Kroger's, and they had this old fart that he just wouldn't retire because he said he would die quicker if he stayed at home. And he already had like 3 pensions. He didn't even need to work. He already had a fully. He just wanted to stay active. He thought if he watched TV all the time, he was just gonna, fucking keel over. He was already like 75 years old. He's probably dead right now. He could still be alive. Maybe he's in a nursing home. But he's probably a vegetable in the nursing home. Like, okay, Mister Walters, time to change your diapers. That kind of shit. Like, oh, it's milk time. That sort of shit. Like, where am I at? He's in that phase of his life now. So the phase we're probably all going to one day, right? Unfortunately. But that's just time and nature and death. No big deal. No big deal at all. So Daryl, Mr. Walters, was cranky in 75. He really shouldn't have been working. He just was doing it out of stubbornness. He thought he would die. Self-preservation is a powerful tool, right? A powerful agent. So one day, he's like, oh, you went to Florida. And I was like, yeah, I went to Destin in Pensacola. And he goes, that's not real Florida. I used to live in Orlando. And I was like, so I don't give a shit. You're more Florida than I am. You've been to Hollywood and Miami Beach and Daytona and fucking Orlando. Whoop the shit. And Key West. You're all hail the Floridian. I don't know what to say. But anyways, he's just a cranky old people that just say cranky old shit. Like, oh, you'll never make it to the end of the finish line. I'm just cranky old fucking bastards. It could be male or female, but that's how they just start to act after a while. Just all cantankerous and cranky, and the classic cranky old man or cranky old woman. Can you turn that noise down, Sonny? Turn off that rock and roll music. That's getting on my nerves. Can you not smoke that substance here? You all dealt with them in your whole life. You know they're all everywhere. They're like the Karens. They're all over the fucking place. Okay. So yeah, I went to Disney World when I was 10. My stepdad died of cancer. He had a tumor in his spinal cord. It was called Hodgkin's disease. They couldn't operate on the tumor because it was lodged in his spinal cord. So then it caused paralysis, and then it caused death. One of our favorite things. So that was about 9 years old, and so about 10, it was like we had just moved to South Houston from out in the country, out in Dayton, Texas, after my stepdad died, and it was pretty hard, just everything changing. But I was young, so it was easier to. It's easier to do stuff if you're like 10 and you're like, oh, I got decades ahead, It would be a lot more hardcore if you're like 60 and your wife dies or something like that, right? Because you don't have that much time ahead. You're just like, oh fuck, it's the end. I'm at the end of the ride. My aunt had just had a little baby, 1987, my cousin, and she was looking to cut loose too that summer. It was the summer of 1990, and we were from South Houston. The apartment was great. It was a great double-story apartment. It was real nice and clean inside. The area that we lived in was kind of dangerous for two women with two little boys to be living in. It was kind of ghetto. It was kind of scary sometimes. Just to give you an example of how scary it was, one day somebody is breaking into a car, probably stealing catalytic converters for the precious metals, or breaking into a car for probably speakers, stereo system to sell on the black market. And so I think, is that it, Luke? Okay. So one night, one guy is under a car and he's jacking some shit, obviously. He's obviously a thief, a criminal. My cousin is like 3 years old. He's in his little bed crib. And my mom and my aunt are like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Let's get to the apartment. They thought the guy was going to get startled and pull out a gun or something. So they all run into the apartment because they knew what was going on. There was a jacking going on. And it was the black and night, so it was creepy as shit too. And then the funniest thing I remember is, my mom and my aunt were looking out the window, looking to see if the guy left and stole the shit. and probably like contemplating like calling the cop, depending on what they saw. Um, they were just making sure that the guy wasn't going to try to break into the place and fuck our shit up. You know, hurt us, kill us, stab us, shoot us. Well, there's young, beautiful women too in their 20s, so maybe more than that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so everybody was on edge, and I remember it was so funny though because I remember walking in where my 3-year-old cousin was, and my aunt was like, yeah, "Go to your room," and she had like it was like this huge fucking gun. It was like Mama's got a gun. I knew that shit was serious because that was like Mama Bear. That was like, you know, the Mama Bear protecting her cub about to rip some motherfuckers apart. It was like, that maternal instinct protecting her baby. It was just, wow, it was so beautiful. And what it made it even funnier is that she's such a sweet baby faced person, and she had this fucking 357 fucking pistol, hold it like a lethal weapon. And I just remember being like, wow, this is the real shit. So then I was like, okay, she said go to bed. I'm not gonna piss her off. She's a woman protecting her baby with a gun. It probably wouldn't be an idea to annoy her or anything. So I left. The dude stole his sound system or catalytic converter or whatever he was stealing under that car, in that car, and then, well, he's gone. He's off to do more criminal activities, I guess, until he goes to jail. So it says Elon Musk offers to buy Twitter for $46.5 billion. Wow. I hope he's successful. I really hope they don't try to stop him. So after the loss of my stepfather and going through the cancer and the devastation of the death, um, my mom and my aunt are still young, single moms. I'm like 10, my cousin's like 3. And so we're like a weird family of 4, just a family out of convenience, really, until meeting a guy, I guess, was their plan. Hey, you know, it's time to get a man in the house and live like a traditional type family together. You know? We're still some hot single moms, right? We can catch us a guy. All right. So, yeah, we had some troubled relationships and some deaths and some things that were pretty bogus in the 1980s, but we have 2 sons and we got a big family, and we're independent and free and young and happy, and the future is open wide. The future is a big open book. We haven't even written what's in it. So it was the optimistic viewpoint of things instead of being destroyed by something negative. Kind of let that build your character instead of look to the future in a positive manner instead of thinking it's just all going to be like doom and gloom, I guess. So, but it was the summertime. We had already moved in, and it was time to cut loose. It was a summer. It was a new decade. It was a new opportunity. Everybody was pretty young and fresh, more or less. It's time to get some. It's time to go do it. It's time to make it happen. And the summer was coming up. My mom had like inherited some after death finances, and my aunt had been working as a nurse and saving for a while. and building up her finances. So then it was like, hey, let's go on a trip. We can afford it if we combine our dough, and we're gonna go to Disney World. Yeah, they had a famous song in the 1980s. It was like, I'm going to Disneyland. It's fun. It's a fun song. I'm going to Disneyland. They didn't really make a song about Disney World, did they? Um, besides Wish Upon a Star. Twinkle, twinkle, wish upon a star, whatever that shit is. So we loaded up vacation style, the old-fashioned Chevy Chase fucking road trip. You can't get more American than that, can you? Besides the First Amendment of the Constitution. You can't really get more America than like cheeseburger and fries, cars and trucks, a chicken in every pot, and a car in every garage. You just can't get more Americana than just getting in a set of four wheels and just driving on some big adventure across the land. Going to Wally World or Disney World or the Grand Canyon, the Hoover Dam, Niagara Falls. That's technically, but going somewhere, loading up and getting in the car and going to the Sequoia National Forest, or you can go the West Coast kick, East Coast kick. You can go right through the middle, or go all around, and whatever your vacation is. But on any journey, it helps to have a destination. So we get in the car. Of course, we're kids. We're little kids, and we're like, we're going to Disney World? Oh my gosh! And we went to Disney World, Universal Studios, Gatorland Zoo, Nickelodeon Studios, Daytona Beach, Pensacola Beach. I mean, just the big Jacksonville, Florida. We were gonna, if we had more money, more time, we probably would have went all the way down to Keys and Miami and Hollywood Beach and so forth. The funds were good, but they weren't like, the time and money wasn't that great, but it was enough to do the trip. Yeah. So we had a blast. At Walt Disney World, yeah, that was really fun. It was $60, I say, per person. $60 per, what was it, adult, or was it like, I want to say, was it $60 per child back then, and then it was $70, $80 per adult, or I forget what the breakdown was, but it was pretty pricey to get in there on a daily basis. We stayed at a cheap motel, and it was actually nice. It was just fun being on the road, right? It's like, we're on the road. We're not a rock band, but we're on the road. It can be fun to travel as long as it's not like excessive or mandatory, I guess. If it doesn't become routine, if it's like your choice, then it becomes automatically more fun, right? See, mandatory travel, obligatory travel isn't fun. Like if it's for a job sometimes. Like, oh shit, I gotta go to Chicago again. Fuck. Okay, that's probably not very fun. But if it's like, hey, we're going to Florida. We're going to the beach, man. What? We're making some Wheeler's breakfast burritos, taquitos. Yeah, it's gonna be good. You know, yeah. Yeah, since Papa John is making up his own shit like Papa Diaz, I'll just come up with my wheel idea. I'll just come up with my own shit too. Oh, I'm just making the food, Lou. All right. Yeah, we had a great time. What were the highlights of the trip? You know, well, so our plan to beat the price of Walt Disney World inside, because we know that if you go to a stadium, the prices for food and drinks is going to go way up. If you're in a tourist trap, you know prices are going to go way up. So you're going to get ripped off, basically. So, but there was a way not to get ripped off with the family of four and two kids and two adults. The way was we went to um, McDonald's before we went into Walt Disney World during the day, and then at night when we got out of the park, we would go eat something after that. So maybe get some sandwiches, or you know. So it was always like fast food during the day, and then like to we just have to drink out of water fountains. And if we got really hungry, we might buy something to share. It was always like super expensive. But we wouldn't get any meals while we're in there. Like on a hot day, we got some ice cream. There's probably ridiculous prices for ice cream cones inside Walt Disney World. We didn't go to any of the restaurants because we were trying to save the money for the actual places. So, yeah, I like the Gator Zoo because it was really cool. There was an element of danger at Gatorland Zoo. I like the beginning of Gatorland Zoo was my favorite because it's like this big gator head, and you like walk into the jaws. It's a fake entrance, but it's has a great effect, like you're going into the jaws of a lizard beast. It's I would probably be less impressed at 40 as I was at 10. But when I was 10, I was like, oh my God, we're walking into an alligator head. This is so cool. But I love seeing all the different alligators. I love seeing they had baby alligators, and they had their snappers snap shut. And my favorite was the gators were, I guess you can't really domesticate an alligator, but it was hilarious because you'd walk through these bridges and you'd look down, and the gators would come up like almost like they were smiling, waiting for tourists to drop food. And of course, they had a sign that said "Don't feed the gators," but the gators were still just like waiting, like, "Oh, humans are going to give us food." Ooh. But I'm sure if you fell in there, they would just start ripping you apart, and so it wouldn't have been so. They're not. You can't really domesticate an alligator, but they can get used to humans feeding them and lose that wild instinctual ability. So Gatorland Zoo. It was fun. It was smelly. It did smell like reptiles. It smelled like swampy reptile shit, and It's not my preferred smell to smell is Bayou Gator stank. But in that context of just viewing alligators, it was kind of fun. It's scary. It was kind of like a mixture of like scary but fun. So mostly fun though, because you never really felt like you were in any danger, but you certainly aren't going to start, even if you're a little kid, going to start, playing off the rails, playing off the side of the monkey horsing around because you don't want to fall in there and like you see like in Jones movies, you've seen like the Romancing the Stone where they just rip people apart. You don't want that to happen to you like it does in the movies, so you're just like, I'm gonna keep it real cool while I'm in this place. One of my favorite parts was when the gator trainer, biologist, wildlife guy, he gets in a harness and he lowers a full chicken, a full dead chicken into the water, and the gator just comes up and just fucking devours the shit. And I think I was telling my aunt and my mother, I was like, if that guy fell in, they would just eat his ass. So I would never do that job. It was oh, Nickelodeon Studios, Nick, and Nick, Nickelodeon, the famous children's studios, Nickelodeon Studios, now owned by Viacom, I believe, Paramount Viacom for a long time. But yeah, Nickelodeon was a revolution in children's animated or children's television in general. So for cable. So we finally go to in every kid's dream, and I'm glad I wasn't 3, and I'm glad I wasn't 15, because I think 10 years old was like, 8 to 12 years old was like the sweet spot for like really appreciating what was going on. I'd always watched Double Dare with the slime, and I walked through the hallways on the Nickelodeon Studios tour, and wow, they had the animatronics, and they had the fucking. They showed you where they made the slime, and they showed the creatures and their whole like creation studio, and I looked down. They even showed you the different shows being produced. I looked down and I saw what I'd seen on TV, and I couldn't believe it because usually I saw it on cable TV at home, back way back home, and I'm looking at the studio and I see the host, Mark, the guy with the germophobia, or used to anyway, and he's hosting the show, and they're doing the Double Dare, the wacky shit, and I'm just, oh man, this is yeah, not really without any words really. This is just incredible. I guess that's the only word I could think, because you get to see how they're making all these shows, and you see it, and it's being taped live right there, and it's just bringing the magic to life. So that was pretty astounding. Walt Disney World, I liked going inside Epcot Center, because in the ride it's like you're in this science. It's like they do like the world of tomorrow, and I love shit like that. That's just creating this immersive theme park experience where you're trapped in somewhere, but it's like your body is trapped in a ride, but your mind is going somewhere because the audio and the visuals and everything, almost like the early really immersive rides are sort of like virtual reality experiences of what they are. Like Swiss Family Robinson, you like climb up the tree, and it's a small world after all with the animatronics, and they sing it. You're going in the boat, and it's like, it's a small world after all. It's really iconic, right? And then, wow, my cousin was 3. He was really excited about going to Mickey Mouse's house, and he kept saying, "Are we going to Mickey Mouse's house?" And then my mom and my aunt would say, "Yes, we're going." His mother would say, "Yeah, we're going to Mickey Mouse's house." And so I was like, "Hey, Nate, let's go to Mickey Mouse's house." And he's like all in wonder, like, because he doesn't even. I'm old enough to know that this is like a concocted fantasy world. My cousin is 3. He thinks we're really going to see Mickey Mouse, and he really thinks that Mickey Mouse has a house. He really believes that we're in a magical kingdom and called Walt Disney World. He really thinks that we have actually traveled to a magical kingdom. I was old enough to be like, I know this is not a magical kingdom, but it's a fun place to go ride rides and see stuff and do stuff. So I wasn't there like lost. Like I knew there was no Mickey Mouse. Like I knew there was no Santa Claus, and I knew there was no Tooth Fairy already. But I didn't want to. I don't want to shit on the kids' parade. So being a good cousin, I said, yeah, let's go see Mickey Mouse's house. And we did. I think Mickey Mouse, the character and Minnie Mouse were off like wandering the park, greeting and taking pictures with different kids. So Mickey Mouse wasn't always at the Mickey Mouse house because Mickey Mouse is either maybe standing in long line to get pictures, or he's wandering around the park greeting children and so on, so forth. Yeah, so it was great. Yeah, Epcot Center was. I think the ride was already pretty old by the time 1990 rolled around, but it was still an. I love those rides where it's like where they show atoms and molecules and stars and space and those really deep science type ones. I always love those. I always love Future World and Tomorrowland and Tomorrow World and all that kind of shit. If you get my drift. So we're gonna get this going on here. Yeah, we got our. These taquitos are like bacon, sausage, cheddar cheese, and what else? Bacon, sausage, cheddar cheese, and chives, sour cream, basil pesto, and a little bit of mayonnaise. Kind of like, how do I describe this? Like, it's almost like I'm making potato salad, but for taquitos in a way. Not too much, just enough where all the flavors combine into something unique and savory. I mean, the whole trip was pretty awesome. I mean, Disney World, just going like to Daytona Beach, just going to Pensacola and just hanging out, just going swimming and shit. It's like those little things, just building like I think I built my sand sculpture was a alligator, I think. And then I think my cousin was building like a old school sand castle. We were having fun with that. And then I think was it my mom or my aunt, or they made like a mermaid or something. We're having a lot of fun. at Disney World, my mom and my aunt went to the shop, and it was the Disney World gift shop. They had a little bit of money to burn, so they saw that they had all these Disney World hats. They had Goofy, Mickey, Donald Duck, and they had the Mouseketeer hats. And so my mom got me. She was real nice. She bought a lot of shit for me. She bought the Mouseketeer ears. She bought the Mickey Mouse hat, the Donald Duck hat, and also the Goofy hat. The Goofy hat wasn't as expensive as the other ones. It was a little bit cheaper made because it was just a hat. The other hats were hats, but they were like, the characters were all like fleshed out, and it was a lot more complicated material than a regular hat. The Goofy hat was just basically like a hat, but they just put floppy ears, they stuck some buck teeth, and they made it goofy. And unfortunately, when we did finally, because all the food and drinks and shit were expensive, we weren't starving because we ate McDonald's before we went in the biatch and up in the Magic Kingdom, if you will. And before Swiss Family Robinson or something, the summer heat started to melt the chocolate ice cream, and my dumb ass touched the chocolate ice cream, and then I got a few stains on Goofy's teeth, unfortunately. But I'm glad that if I was gonna fuck up anything, I fucked up the cheap Goofy hat, and the Mickey Mouse and the Donald Duck and the Mouseketeer stuff is pretty intact. So I'm happy at least about that. So yeah, I mean, the trip was pretty amazing. Um, Take me down to League City. Grass is green where the girls have big titties. Oh, won't you please take me home? Yeah, yeah. Take me down to the Paradise City. Well, we're gonna make a lot of these taquitos. I'll probably save some for later consumption. My dog is like, "What are you doing?" I want some. Yeah. Um, I was gonna write about the trip when I got back, because when I got back, I had such a great time. I wanted to write it down like in a journal. And maybe there was the stigma back then that only girls had diaries and shit, and not that I was worried about that. I was almost about to write it, and then I was like, it's up here, it's in my brain, so why write it? And plus, we took a picture of every state, of every mile of that trip. We took a picture like of everything. So really, I remember being there. I remember mostly all what happened. And also, there's a picture just in case I don't know exactly what happened at every single moment. Well, guess what? We took a picture of every single moment. So there's an entire photo album of us going to Walt Disney World in 1990. And it couldn't come at a better time. We were really kind of, at least me and my mom were pretty shook it up by my stepdad's death. And it was definitely a cathartic experience to go on a big summer fun trip to kind of release that sadness, that loss um, from our souls and psyche, to be at peace. I think personal peace and spiritual peace is kind of underrated in this society. I think I'd say. Hmm. So it's egg, cheese, um, sausage, bacon, basil pesto, a little bit of Hellman's mayonnaise, sour cream, and wrapped up in the. I think I said cheddar cheese already, and also tortillas. They're from HEB, Herbert E. Butt's company. If you're not familiar with Texas grocers, I know in Florida they have Publix with an X. I wonder if some guy was working at Publix and there's like some really hot chick, and he's like, "It's time to get Publix XX." Oh yeah. I don't know. Did it ever happen before? Could have happened, maybe. In theory, it could have been possible. Stepped in some dropped egg there. Oh, we also put some chives in here. So why did I think about like taquitos at this time? It's almost 5 o'clock. Well, just I thought about it. So make a few more of these bad boys. What would just kill this process right here? All right. We're gonna make two for me with provolone cheese. Well, you got provolone, or if you prefer provolone, it really doesn't matter. It's like bologna and bologna and bologna. But the diameter of this, huh? Kind of looking for a special carrier here. The all right. Put a provolone on there. Hell yeah. They're gonna be mine for supper, and I'm gonna save the rest for like other times. Oh yeah. Roll it up like you're rolling a fat one back in the day. Roll it up. I'll smoke it. Mm. Mm. Roll it up. I'll hit it. No, I'm not. Wow. So I think Nickelodeon Studios is my favorite memory because technically, if you're alive and breathing and well, you can go to Disney World if you have the funds about any point in your life. You can go to Walt Disney World, and they've added more stuff, but they still have a lot of the classic rides too, still in service or remodeled, revamped. Nickelodeon Studios, they closed down in 2006. So if you didn't get to experience it before then, it's kind of like Astroworld. It's gone forever. Nickelodeon isn't gone, and neither are the shows and the legacy, but the studios is gone, the old studios. So that's what makes that special. Okay, so I finished up the taquito ingredients here. All right. Okay, so we're going to freeze some of these. Freeze some of these uh, Willitos. No. Oh, Wheeleritos. I think I have a vision. Wheeleritos. Yeah. And for the Nathan Sensation fans out there, Sensation! That was for y'all. Yeah, maybe another character I can make on another video game or in a wrestling or some kind of story. It could be Sensation. So Sensation, Sean Sensation. I like it. So yeah, I hope Elon Musk buys Twitter so it won't be shitter or twatter or whatever they call it. Instead of some foreign Indian guy saying, "We do not believe in the First Amendment to the Constitution. It is not important to our community, our people's plans." But freedom of speech is not helpful for people's safety. The freedom of speech is an antiquated ideal that has no place in our modern world. No, not when Elon takes over, baby. You're going to sing a different tune. And when those guys are gone, the old Twitter CEOs and all those liberal foreign douchebags are off the board and doing something else, hopefully. Not trying to dismantle the Constitution of the United States of America. When they're not off trying to do that, then Elon can take over and restore the global public square, the town hall, into a open and truly democratic place, not false democracy, a real democracy. God bless and best of success. Nothing less than the best of success for everybody out there. Yeah, so my only sin for my Popeye's chicken video was telling a crime story about Popeye's chicken in which racial and ethnic slurs were exchanged. I just happened to say those words. I'd rather be direct than say, well, I think you said the P word, so that you understand what word that I'm saying. Okay, so we put butter down, and we're going to cook some of these bad boys. Yeah. Put these in the pan. I just want the provolone ones. Just want two. And the rest, I'm going to put up. Seal it up. I think I'm going to go ahead and label these so I know what they are. Not like I don't know what they are, but just in case, like you have a roommate or relative, they come over and they're like, what is this? Oh, well, these are egg rolls and these are breakfast. Wheeler's, hold on, I got it. Wheeler's breakfast rollers. Wheeler's rollers. Oh, God. That is actually what I want to call it. The Wheeler's rollers. Breakfast rollers. So you know it's not egg rollers. Oh, happy birthday to the Queen, of course. Let me label this Ziploc bag. If you wish upon a star, the wonder who you, if you wish. The melody is escape. I can hear it in my head, but I can't sing it right now. Let's do the 4. Oh, it's 21. It's the Queen's birthday. 4/21, 22. Uh, breakfast. Uh-oh, the marijuana was found. So, hey, all right, somebody, they did what? Okay, so a bride was accused in Florida, now that we're on the topic of Florida, the news, of lacing the food at the wedding with marijuana. Um, so I call these taquitos. You can call them breakfast burritos. You can kind of call it whatever you want, but it doesn't really matter. I just call them taquitos because that's what they call them, the breakfast burritos at Whataburger. So it's called, the bill in Florida is called the Don't Say Gay Bill. Don't Say Gay Bill. Hmm. back in the 80s and 90s, when I was growing up, if someone called you gay and you were a guy, usually it didn't mean you were actually homosexual. What it meant was they were making fun of you. They're calling you a faggot. But if they said, man, that's gay, they were saying that's lame. They were saying that that was weak, that that was pansy, that was prissy, that was not kosher, that was not cool. So, kind of the definition of gay also could mean happy. As a joke, the kids would joke like, "Oh, Paul was gay with happiness," and we'd get a laugh. You know, it'd be like, "Oh, Billy's real gay today," and we had a hilarious time because gay in its original meaning means happy. Typically, gay would mean an insult in K through 12, though, usually. And so, all right. So normally it would be an insult. It would be like, "Well, Jimmy's rather gay today." No, it'd be more like an insult. Like, I think, man, you got to take this extra test. Man, this is gay. That's why they're trying to in the wokesters, the culture, they're trying to cancel old shows from like the 1980s and 1990s because they say they call people retards, and they call people gay and fags all the time, and so which was of the norm back then. So you could call the situation retarded, or you could call the person retarded. So that was an insult. Uh, Typically, they didn't come up with PC words like mentally challenged yet. So they wouldn't say like the president is cognitively impaired. They would say like, "Oh man, he has fucking Alzheimer's," or "Oh, he's got dementia," or "Man, he's losing his marbles." They would say other kind of things, right? Kind of meaner things, but more accurate things, more true. All right, and then I give these a flipper. All right, flip them over. We get these things. It's already in the butter. We want to brown these tortillas. Mm. I love breakfast food. I remember being at the deli at Kroger's. There's one of those MILFs come in, one of those really hot moms. She's got this lady was older, but man, maybe like 50. Maybe she was 55, but she was super hot. And you could tell she doesn't smoke that much. She doesn't party that much. She doesn't do drugs. You can tell she's real clean. And that's, her priorities in life are just raising her kids, going shopping, doing regular woman type stuff. And she had some big hooters too. And she had a pretty smile. She wasn't, yeah, she didn't party much, so she didn't look all fucked up and disheveled and older than her actual years. we start talking about breakfast for some reason because it's a grocery store, so probably people are going to talk about food 9 times out of 10. Typically, now some people might try to use the grocery store as like a counseling or a doctor advice place, but it's really not. So yeah, gossip could go into other areas at the grocery store. Okay, so if I have a bad prostate, maybe I tell somebody's wife, and then they tell their husband, and the husband's like, "Hey, do you know a urologist? Yeah, we heard your prostate was giving you trouble. Uh, could you recommend anything, to help with the penis and help with the prostate and the balls?" And sometimes, yeah, maybe sometimes it can go off on a tangent if you let personal stuff out. But usually, typically, the subject matter would be about food, 9 times out of 10, because it's a place where food is sold and consumed and sampled. So Betty Sue and uh, Mary Jane might gossip about their breast size or something, or gossip about a neighbor or whatever, but that's not like the norm. It's usually people are like food, price of food, the taste of food, what they're going to eat. It's probably their usual concerns because you have to eat to survive. That's why the grocery store was such a great place to woman watch and girl watch because, well, they have to eat too. So that's why it was a great place to just look at hot chicks all day and all night. So this exquisitely hot milk goes, "Oh, I just really don't like breakfast." And I was like, "You don't like breakfast?" Which is kind of weird to me because I family kind of built up was around breakfast: bacon, eggs, biscuits, pancakes, waffles, um, breakfast burritos, uh, hash browns, uh, orange juice, cranberry juice, milk, gravy, etc. Uh, Croissants, toaster strudel, cereal. I mean, just breakfast. Toast, jelly and toast. I mean, just all this great shit. Sausage and everything, dude. And she's like, I just never really liked breakfast. I don't like any of that. Bacon and eggs. And I wait till lunch. I was like, oh, well, teach her own, teach their own, I guess. Teach his own. So the controversy is over the "Don't Say Gay" bill. Don't say gay. Don't say it. They call it. That's what the left, the Democrats, don't say. They want to teach children about sex before their sex organs, before everything activates puberty. I don't think that's a very great idea. So a lot of parents, a lot of conservatives, a lot of Republicans, a lot of uh, thinking rational people think that sexualizing children is a form of child abuse, and it is. So now Trump may not run again in 2024, but Ron DeSantis is 42. I'm almost 42. He's been governor of Florida for a long time. He's married, has children. Um, I think he's going to go for a run. He's pretty young, relatively young, middle, right about almost middle age, I guess. And yeah, he's going to take away special privilege status away from Disney Corporation. Um, we're trying to oppose the Parental Rights and Protections Act. for children K through is it K through 5? I want to say it's K through 5th grade, or it's at least K through 3, kindergarten through 3. Uh, so it protects children from hearing about trannies, transvestites, alternative lifestyles, non-binary, non-asexual, just weird shit. Basically, it's like a protection against weird crap. When I was going to school first in the 80s, a big point of contention would be religion in the classroom, and also Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag. That was sometimes contentious. Some people would refuse to salute the flag of a country because the God was before the country. So a lot of the religious people would protest and sit out the flag, and so that would happen. So that was a big thing. The separation between church and state and church and school was a pretty massive deal back then. Uh, no one was confused about what gender or identity was. That was pretty locked down in the culture. It was like, here's a boy, here's a girl. They grow up to be men and women. The men and women, if they get together, they create more boys and girls, and then the process continues. It's called the process of biological evolutionary life, and it just continues through the different generations. Some people make it, and those with disadvantages in Charles Darwin evolution get destroyed by life, and their genes do not transmit to the next generation. So those are the ones that are called like the failures. All right. Well, there you go. Dinner right first. Well, Wheeler's breakfast rollers are rolling. Mm. So if Governor Ron DeSantis from Florida runs in 2024, I'll be there to go vote for him from Texas. If he runs for president, just to clarify. Um, if the rights of the few come before the rights of the many, then any democracy is in trouble. So we should never normalize behavior like transsexualism to our children. It does not promote good mental or physical health. If after puberty they want to transition, if a boy wants to become a girl, if a girl wants to become a guy, dude looks like a lady, transgenders, um, chicks in disguise, dudes in disguise, or whatever. They want to do that. That's up to them. Transgenders, dudes in disguise. But this is only what? A certain minority in the population. This is not a majority of the people's wishes or dreams for their own children. So, why should the few dictate what the many do? That's not how the system of democracy should work. Uh, Democracy should be the system working for the majority, and the minorities will be voiced in their concerns, but it will not be fringe or radical, strange, weird behavior should not be rewarded. So there's normal human behavior and there's abnormal human behavior. So look, Wheeler's breakfast rollers. There's normal human behavior and then there's abhorrent human behavior. There's accepted normal human behavior and then there's abhorrent behavior. There's deviant behavior. So trying to normalize deviant or bizarre behavior is not good, especially trying to indoctrinate children into accepting these alternative non-binary lifestyles as something that's actually as gospel, something they should actually know about. So, like, children should know about like trannies, like children should know about like fentanyl, and children should know about BSDM. They can learn about BSDM when they grow up and get into BSDM, and people can change their sex, and after puberty or after adulthood, they can start exploring things. It's their prerogative to explore alternative and bizarre and strange lifestyles if it is legal, but it is not predicate on these people to force their ideals. It would be like if somebody said, I want to worship the devil, and they wanted to force the public education system to have Satan class. To force kids in K through 12 to go to Satan's Lucifer class. So anyway, that's all I got about that. Go Elon Musk, Donald Trump, if he runs again, MAGA, 4 more in 2024, or President Ron DeSantis, 2024, hopefully, if Trump does not run. So, peace.